Come.
Welcome everyone to the Omniverse of Nick and the second to last episode of the Walking Dead Carsverse. Before we get started, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage so our channel mascot Omni can direct you to the Discord and both Google Docs along with everything the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, sharing the Omniverse around, turning on all Omniversal notifications, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's get started. So, this is the second to last episode that will conclude the Walking Dead Carsverse forever. That started quite a decent bit ago with the movie of the story of how it all began. But the whole monologue of all of it will come for the finale. But now we get into the semi-final part, a terrifying war of universes and an endgame approaching. Last we left off, Rick, Wolverine, and McQueen were teaming up against the Decepticon army from Transformers Prime, from a universe where the Autobots were no match for them. And two figures, Loki and Pennywise, have made themselves known in other universes and are threatened to collide with the groups we know. The battle begins today. Now, for those who are not familiar, watch the Rick and McQueen movie and the beginning process of this story before you check out this continuation. It is essential and is the literal definition of what has made the Omniverse of Nick. So do that before you start. Anyways, we now cut back to Rick, Wolverine, and McQueen as they face down Megatron, who looks down at them. And he smiles and says he would have never expected a universe without Optimus Prime to bode such strong individuals. And a car? He's awfully intrigued and confused, thinking that this is an Autobot or Cybertronian, since it's sentient. But he doesn't care and tells his Decepticons lay siege to all of them, and that this will be the next world that is marked in the Decepticon name. So all Viacon troopers are assembled down and are armed to the teeth at the ship, standing high from above, ready to fire down on everybody. But Rick, they're not giving up without any sort of a fight. And he yells to not only McQueen and Wolverine, but he yells to literally everyone who is now assembled in the area, everyone in his universe, and tells them all, rain fire, let's show these giant robots. We've dealt with one world colliding with our own before, and we'll deal with this one. Rain fire! And General Mercer, he relays the command to everybody. Rain fire and attack! And at just a flick of a switch, Commonwealth soldiers, CRM soldiers, Daryl, Maggie, and Rick, along with every single person that has survived up to this point that is still alive in the Walking Dead side of the Walking Dead Carsverse, they rain fire with bullets, grenades, rocket launchers, you name it. They rain fire with everything. But only the Viacon troopers seem to be anywhere near affected by this launch of attacks. And yes, a few of them are taken out, but there are so many of them, and it's doing so little damage that the amount getting taken out is just inconsequential. And it's noticed right away it's not doing anything. So then the Viacon troopers start to rain fire, and they force Rick to his knees. McQueen is damaged and put right beside him. And Wolverine, obviously, he's immortal. So with every part of his body able to heal still intact, and his head still on his shoulders, Wolverine still stands firm right in front of Rick and McQueen as Viacon troopers descend down, ready to just end the job. But Megatron sees that Wolverine is the only one who seems unfazed by this huge assault, and it seems that his troopers aren't enough to deal with this. And these humans, they're much stronger than the humans that he dealt with in his world. And he honestly wasn't expecting this from a primitive species, especially considering the fact that they were much weaker in his world, and the amount of times that they caught him off guard was far more than he would have cared to count. These humans, though, oh, he's not going for that a second time. And he's glad that he got the advantages in his world when he did, and that the Autobots and humans were so underprepared for what he had in store. And he throws his arms up, and his insignia, his chest, and his aura, and all around him, his eyes, flare a menacing dark purple, and he summons another breed for his army. Predaking flares purple flames along with Skylynx and Darksteel, and they rain purple menacing fire along the entire world. I'm talking the entire world. And they rain fire every vicinity that they know humans are. They don't care about these walkers. They're not paying attention to the fact that there are zombies in this world. All the Predacons are raining fire, and they are killing everything. Morgan, Daryl, Maggie, Glenn, and all those family trees that I showed, every single person that I showed at the end of the original Rick and McQueen story, every person that was not killed by Wolverine, every person that was not killed by Evil Dale, every person that was shown, the Predacons, they incinerate and wipe out everybody. Everybody. Leaving Rick on the ground, broken, destroyed, alone, and feeling worthless. He couldn't protect his family. They're all dead. Forever. Everything he worked hard towards, bringing McQueen home, having every one of them survive. The world was theirs for the taking again, and it was just all taken away from them in a second. Wolverine is feeling bad about this too, but not because of Rick and how Rick is feeling. Oh no. This Wolverine is the Wolverine we saw in Wolverine and Deadpool, except remember, he's far more evil and far more stronger and far more durable. So it still hits him hard because, he let down and killed all of his world. Different Wolverine, but slightly similar to the one we know. And McQueen, he just can't believe how menacing of a foe this is. Just wiped out his new family and everything that he got to know in this world after Rick rescued him, and it just all got taken away. Megatron laughs smugly and just maniacally at the destruction laid before him. But this was the wrong thing to do. All of this set a literal and figurative fire in the remaining people alive. Wolverine gets his claws and roars to the high heavens and launches himself at the Decepticon army. Rick gets out his python, his blades, every single gun and weapon he has. He doesn't care if it's not going to work. He is so burned down with rage, he doesn't care what he does. And McQueen, he stops playing at this point. He enables flying mode, goes to past his 100,000 miles per hour, gets his rockets, gets his guns, gets his weapons, and this attack is even more ferocious than all of this entire Walking Dead world combined. Because these three are furious, and that's being nice. And this time, Viacons actually start getting taken down, like huge numbers of them. So much so that the original Viacons are almost completely wiped out. And then the helicopter Viacons and the tank Viacons are assembled, but they get freaking blown away too. And then McQueen starts showing off more fury and more rage and more seriousness by enabling even more speed and more firepower. He excels to almost his full capacity of 200,000 and starts firing off more rockets, more guns, more flares, every single asset until the entire Nemesis and the area around them, now the battle has taken to the ship fully and completely. It's not about the world anymore that is in true purple flame and ruination, and everything that they built is literally destroyed. This is a full-on Nemesis ship war. But this Nemesis is far more durable than the canon one, and that one was pretty freaking durable. Lasted till the end of the freaking series. And it's fueled with Dark Energon controlled. So, yeah. And anyway, the whole war has taken fold to the Nemesis as Megatron just stares at all of the destruction going on right now. Cons, Insecticons, soldiers of his are now actually getting killed. And this gets him angry, not knowing that a car, a superhuman with claws, and a normal human with just simple mediocre weapons are doing this to his men after they literally just destroyed this entire world. And I mean, they didn't destroy it, obviously, the world's still there, but you get what I mean. Rick, either by a usage of a Khan helicopter, an Arachnid helicopter, or just one of the remaining of his world, takes it and crashes it straight into Breakdown. And then he gets his prosthetic blade and he just starts stabbing, slashing, cutting, gnashing all over Breakdown until Breakdown's eye and many parts of his body make the freaking part that he was put in with Mech makes that whole science experiment look like a joke, and Silas it being in there, all of it makes it look like a joke whenever it compares to what Rick is doing right now to Breakdown. And Rick screams louder than any variation of Rick you would ever meet and says, "You will all die for what you did to my world, my family, my friends, and now you're gonna know how it feels." And Rick gets every weapon, his prosthetic, a machete, every single weapon, and everything that you could think of, and almost completely, he actually starts cutting into Breakdown, but since Breakdown's not, so durable that he can't actually slice parts off Breakdown, all he's doing is just scarring Breakdown's, outside, but he did take an eye. And then Rick gets a gun out and says, "I don't care how durable you are. You'll be the first main one to die, to join your friends, just like you killed all of mine. Hope you like the afterlife and hell, Decepticon, or whatever you're called." And Breakdown, he just mounts his shoulder blaster and blasts Rick right off of him. And Rick falls several feet, almost completely off the Nemesis, and is now on the ground, literally almost right at the edge of the Nemesis. He wasn't lucky enough to actually get in the ship. It was actually right near the edge of the ship. So this is a very dangerous situation. No, and to add insult to literal injury, Rick is on death's door. And Knockout sees that Breakdown's practically almost dead because of what Rick just did to him. And now he gets a buzzsaw prepared to kill Rick himself. Meanwhile, Wolverine has launched himself away from the Decepticons, and he went straight for the Mastermind. He went straight for Megatron. But Megatron says, these claws aren't going to do anything to him. And if anything, they're just leaving tiny little marks. And he would have expected a human that can regenerate to have some side of dark energon or, extra damage mounted to him. But this, he doesn't even care about recruiting him to his side. It's a waste of potential if this is the best that he can do. And he just gets his blaster and just blasts him off and then punches him several feet, almost completely off the ship. But Wolverine uses his claws and manages to claw himself and keep himself on the ship, still not backing down from Megatron. But McQueen, he is far from over as well. He's still launching missile after missile, weapon after weapon, and he still keeps going. And at this point, there's almost no soldiers left. And at this point, all that is left is all the main Decepticons, which, trust me, there's plenty of them, all the Predacons, and all the Insecticons, which they start getting eliminated too. But it takes a little bit more than the cons, obviously. And then, after it seems like McQueen's actually getting somewhere and he's actually getting to the main threat, he gets slapped out of the air, literally, and then struck down with a ferocious claw onto the ship and almost completely off the ship, but then knocked off of the ship and just ferociously slapped and clawed around and then put to the ground by Hardshell and prepares to kill Lightning McQueen. And Megatron prepares to incinerate Wolverine and make sure there's nothing left. So pretty much everyone is about to be on death's door for real. Wolverine being very questionable, because of him. But just before any of that can happen, a green explosion and beam of energy heads towards Megatron's area, and just the area of the complete Nemesis itself. But Megatron uses the Dark Star Saber to just completely evaporate the attack, and demands to know who did that. Then it's revealed. It's Loki. And Megatron demands to know, who are you? Are you another human? There's no way a human could have that kind of energy. Loki introduces himself as the god of stories. He is, he was a god of Asgard, and he is no human. And he has not come here to fight this giant robot and whatever's going on. He is here to take back someone who does not belong in this continuity at all. He cannot save the continuity of these cars and these humans in this zombified world. But Wolverine, that Clawman, this robot right here, Megatron, he calls himself, whatever he is, Wolverine does not belong here. And if Megatron values his existence and his continuity, he'll stand down and let Loki take care of Wolverine by himself. That's all he's here for. He wishes no harm or cares not about anything else. But Megatron says, "You dare to attack the leader of the Decepticons and think that I won't retaliate just because you want some clawed man that came at me and tried to kill me and my army?" And this gives Wolverine the perfect chance to use his claws to, attempt an attack. But Loki just gets his energy ready and just imprisons Wolverine in a contained, shackled force field and says, "I will deal with you in a minute." And Loki says, "I do not wish to have to fight you, but you will stand down if you know what's good for you." But then someone, he senses someone behind him, and he gets a voice behind him that he should have known. Someone was tailing him. "Do you want to play with me instead? You think you're so cool, floating up in the air with your little powers." I'll show you how to really float. You deal with me now. And then it's revealed through hundreds and hundreds of balloons of pure red malice and blood is a clown, Pennywise. But this is no ordinary Pennywise. This is the Pennywise that came from Dale's world and came through that portal. And he roars. But as I said, this is no ordinary Pennywise. This is a Pennywise with absolutely no weakness to insults and a Pennywise with complete mastery over his powers and more malice, durability, and immortality than any variation of him. This is the strongest Pennywise. And with this, Pennywise launches himself at Loki, and the two begin to duke it out. But Loki is not going down without a fight. And it seems like he's actually able to defend himself, and Pennywise, he can't really fly. Sure, it seems like he is able to get himself in positions to fly with some of his images, hallucinations, and other powers, but he can't really fly. So Loki at least has that advantage. But that's not stopping Pennywise from being able to answer every one of Loki's attacks. And at some point, the two seem to be even and actually gets Loki to be able to fight seriously. Now, Megatron's looking at all of this quizzically. First, there was a human with a bunch of other humans and a superhuman with claws and a talking sentient car. Then there was this god person who just imprisoned the guy he was just fighting after eliminating a good portion of his men and imprisoned him in a cell. And now there's this freaking clown weird thing. Megatron is very confused. But he gets his Dark Star Saber and says, well, if those two are locked in combat, then there's nothing stopping me from getting rid of the other pests in my way. And McQueen is injured, very injured. A flashback ensues of the time where the last time that he was injured was the first time he met Rick Grimes. The flash goes back to McQueen staring up at the ship. Rick, he's injured. And he gets up and he sees everything that's happening. He sees McQueen injured. He sees Wolverine imprisoned. He sees the clown. He sees this Loki character. He sees Megatron planning an attack. And he knows they're all out of options. But Rick's clearly thinking of something. He's clearly getting up to something. McQueen, he goes to him while absolutely no one is paying attention. And he says, are you okay, Rick? And he says, what are we going to do now? There's nothing we can do. Absolutely nothing. And he says he doesn't want to die. He was saved by Rick. They saved each other. Everything that they built. He doesn't want this to be the end. Rick says neither does he, but maybe this is what it's all come down to. Wars never end. They never do. They fought through wars before the zombies. They fought through wars when they met each other. Through walkers, through Shane, through everything. And Rick has come to understand more than ever as a person. Before understanding about multiverses, before understanding about walkers, he's come to understand this is what it's all come down to. A final war. To truly sum up all wars. Something, this has to be what everybody fought for, what everybody died for. It's for them, Rick and McQueen, to be alive at the end. And Rick says there's only one way that he can think that they can end this once and for all. That they can save their worlds and make it mean something. And Rick stares at a far part away from the ship, down on the ground, and he tells McQueen to look and says, McQueen, look there. You know that this is what we're looking for. This is our endgame. This is how everything comes together forever. McQueen stares, surprised. And even he knows what Rick is talking about. As Loki faces Pennywise, as Wolverine breaks out of the prison and goes to fight Megatron, and as Rick and McQueen stare, Thunder, the son of Rick and Jesse, the monument to everything, named after a saying of McQueen's, is stared down, petrified with fear, as being the only one left besides Rick and McQueen, as Rick and McQueen look, knowing that not only is this their endgame, but it's the start of a new future. A thunderous future, heading into what will be next time the end of the Walking Dead Carsverse.
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out!